Well, welcome back everybody. I'm meteorologist Andrea Myers, bringing you guys your daily hail forecast, sponsored as always by C3 Group, Merlin Law Group, American Contractor, and Atlas. They help us make these videos possible, so we want to give them a big shout out, and if you guys are interested, they are linked in the description to this video as always. So getting into today, we do have risks generally pushing to the north with the pattern that we have upcoming, and we'll talk about that. But Minneapolis, you guys do have a chance to see some hail today, as well as a lot of Nebraska with that super large hail. So going into all of that, and then we have our risk for tomorrow as well, still including a lot of the northern plains, the Midwest, and parts of the southeast as well. So just kind of all over. Getting into all our severe weather risk, and then getting into the heat as well. If you guys aren't in a severe weather risk, it's pretty much going to be hot where you're at. So we're covering our heat warnings, advisories, all of that jazz, and then getting into our 3-star recaps at the end of our show here. We had 2 3-star maps in Colorado over the weekend and 1 in Oklahoma. So we're going to go ahead and cover all that for you. But before we get into our weather, come see us at the Atlas All-Stars Stadium Tour. We are in Baton Rouge this time. Derek is going to be the keynote speaker at this, and it is going to be on July 26th. So come out and see us if you guys are in Louisiana and want to say hello, or if you're nearby. And if not, again, we're going to be doing these through the middle of August. So got plenty of opportunities to come see us at the Atlas All-Stars Stadium Tour. Now getting into the upcoming pattern for the next few days, we've got this trough, and it's a good looking trough, but it's really sticking up north in Canada right now. Got a little bit of a disturbance coming off of that, so parts of the nation in like New England area could see some storms associated with this, but really anything south is going to be pretty diffuse and associated with any of these little shortwave troughs that we see coming off of the larger ones up in Canada. So not helping us out too much with widespread severe weather risks for the next few days, and it's really going to stay like that for now. That's kind of why those risks are pulling up to the north as well, staying hot and dry in the south right now. So getting into our current conditions, I mean, look at that, hot and dry pretty much across most of the U.S. right now. Lots of us seeing sunny skies, so that's good news, but those temperatures are just going to get pretty out of hand pretty fast here. Already sitting in the upper 80s in DFW, 93 in Houston, and then back in the desert Southwest, it's already in the upper 90s this morning for you guys. Expected to get way hotter up there, and just super muggy across the board as well, sitting in the 50s and 60s for dew points right now, while that trough, that cooling trough that we want so badly down south, is sticking up in Canada right now. But it could potentially get us some storms where we do have those high dew point values, where we do have those warm temperatures and disturbances. Could potentially bring us storms through the Nebraska, Minnesota area into today. So looking into that, here's our significant hail model. Here we are by 3 p.m. And really, again, that large hail is probably going to stick into central Nebraska as well as western Kansas for today. But there is a chance that we could see some severe weather now going on in the Minnesota, Wisconsin area. So Minneapolis, well, it's been your season for a while now. Things have just stayed down south. It could start to shift that way into this week. So watching that kind of develop into the next few hours here. This is what we got going in the southern plains. Things developing along I-25, and as they do, kind of increasing in intensity and coverage once they move eastward. So there we have our 3 p.m. with some storms developing through eastern New Mexico and Colorado. Shifting off into Kansas, now we start to see some isolated storms developing along 76 here, along I-70, potential to produce some pretty large hail with those. And then we got these bands forming through West Texas as well. As those get ready to move into Amarillo, we could see a mix of risks, some large hail as well as high winds possible. And then all that just clusters together once it moves into the I-35 corridor. In Oklahoma City, you could get some 3 a.m. storms once again. Already had those this weekend. Probably not going to do baseballs this time, but could potentially get you some larger wind speed values as those track through, and then just to the north of Dallas along the Red River as well. So watching that down south. Up north, going to look a little different here. Going to see these storms develop through central Nebraska. Again, that's got a lot of heating, a lot of instability, ready to produce some large hail off of these storms as they head southeast. Then we'll have this band develop through northern Wisconsin, and the back end of that could impact Minneapolis by around 8 p.m. Central with some severe hail. So watching you guys, we got storms going through Montana, so a lot of areas seeing severe weather through tonight, and the largest hail staying where things stay broken. You know, we get those isolated cells that have the potential to produce those large hail storms moving through central Nebraska. So watching that into the next few hours, and then it should be kind of just scattered storms through the night into tonight, but still got a chance for that large hail. And then New England, out in front of that low pressure system, you'll have these storms that are just kind of spinning away. A couple of those could spit out a couple of severe wind gusts here and there. It's going to be very scattered, and it's going to be very limited to the coastal areas, but we're just watching that. So for hail, really sticking to the central plains here, especially with that large hail, but again, could reach all the way far west into Montana for today. So going down into the Texas and Oklahoma panhandles, we got a chance for hail here near Amarillo, moderate to see at least quarters. Could potentially see something larger if any isolated cells move into the city, but this year has just really not been Amarillo's year. It's just been moving around the city. So we'll see what can happen there. Low end chance for Dodge City, low end chance for I-25 as things develop off to the east. But once we get into Colby, into North Platte, particularly Hastings as well, could potentially see some pretty large hail once those isolated cells really get rolling into this afternoon. Then on up into the Rocky Mountains here, low end chances across the board. Probably going to see a lot of small hail with any of those storms, and you could see some quarters to half dollars mixing in. Then last but not least, up into the upper Midwest here from Green Bay all the way down into the Sioux Falls area, could potentially see some large hail today. Maybe some ping pong to golf ball sized stones forming on the back end of that system that develops here through Wisconsin. So we're watching you, Minneapolis, for that. You got a moderate chance to see some large hail into today, and then low as that starts to develop to the southeast and form more of a wind producing line. Speaking of wind, now we're talking pretty much the whole central and southern plains here, as well as where we see those clusters in Montana. So if you guys are down in really North Texas or Oklahoma, you got a chance to see some strong winds with that cell that's going to start to develop along I-35. So better chances for us in Oklahoma City, as well as the folks in Dodge City, Colby, Amarillo, all the way down to Lubbock. Again, with those lines that are forming and then tracking eastward through. Might scoot just to the east to DFW. We'll see, so we're going to leave you guys on a low end for today. And then Butte, Billings, again, very scattered for you guys with those wind chances. Low end across the board as well, all the way from North Platte into Green Bay. Really mostly looking at hail through this area for today. Then off into New England. Again, it's going to be very scattered, brief, but Boston is really the city at risk today to see some gusty winds up to 60 miles an hour. For tornadoes, going to really watch that corridor in upper Wisconsin and in southern Minnesota, where we're seeing things, you know, stay isolated initially, and we're up close to that low pressure system, so we got a little more spin to work with in the atmosphere. So Minneapolis and Green Bay, you guys do have a chance to see tornadoes today. It should be very brief and short-lived if there are any, but this is still where we're going to see that risk for today, so note that if you guys are up that way. Then again, if we did not cover you for severe weather, pretty much just going to be hot into today. Got a heat advisory for a lot of Texas and southern New Mexico. Excessive heat warnings in effect for Southern California and parts of Arizona. Heat watches going on as well. It's just super hot in the southern part of the nation right now. If you guys are out in these western watches and warnings, you could potentially see regular temperatures reaching up to 110 to 120. So again, super hot outside just with those normal temperatures. And then in Texas, it's going to be those feels like temperatures. It's going to be the heat index that really gets us cooking down in Texas right now. 110 to 115 for a lot of us down this way, and it's probably going to cycle like that, getting really hot in the day and then cooling off at night and then back to it the next day. So if you guys are getting out and getting on any roofs out there, doing any canvassing, again, just all I can tell you is bring a lot of water, take breaks in the shade, and just, you know that it's going to be a really hot one down in the southern U.S. Now getting into tomorrow's risk. I'm going to show you guys our other model that we tend to like to look at. We look at a few here. This is called the NAM, all right, and it's got storms developing a little differently than some of the other models that we like to show out. So This one's kind of putting storms down in central Nebraska here. There they go, producing potentially large hail in a similar risk area as what we're seeing today. And now our other models are likened to show things forming a little bit in southern South Dakota there, northern Nebraska, rather than kind of the central part of the state here. So it's really going to depend on placement of the storms, but all models agree that we are seeing a lot of instability through this area, potential for large hail again, and once we get those isolated storms going, we could potentially see some very large hail into tomorrow and sinking southward through the afternoon and evening with, kind of like we're seeing today, more scattered storms lingering through the night, but those should be less severe. Then down in the southeast, totally different story. We got a lot of storm coverage, a lot of agreement between our models here that there should be some popcorn storms throughout the day. However, it's just not super hot in the upper atmosphere, so any hail that we do get would probably be limited to just quarters through the region. So, but you're still in the mix if you're in the southeast. So for your hail forecast, including both of those areas. Now, confidence on placement of those storms is what we're going to evaluate into tomorrow. So leaving Rapid City and Sioux Falls at the best chance to see that hail. But again, potentially very large hail tracking through parts of Nebraska into tomorrow, dependent on where storms initiate. So North Platte, you guys are in it, Omaha, Kansas City, Des Moines, all the way eastward into parts of the Ohio Valley and Midwest here, Chicago, Detroit, you guys could see some quarters as well with the remnants of that system tracking through. Then down south, it's going to be a low end across the board for everybody to see some quarters with those isolated popcorn storms that move through into tomorrow. So all of that applies for wind as well, and we'll update you guys into tomorrow's forecast. But now getting into our 3-star maps that we saw over the weekend. This was on Saturday at like 3 in the morning. Little rogue storm decided to really get going as it tracked into southern Oklahoma City here. Baseball-sized hail reported with that, as well as very high winds. It was sideways hailing through the area. So got a nasty little storm that tracked through, did some car damage, and just woke a lot of people up. And then down through Norman, got some quarters, half dollars through that area as well. But if you're interested in that Oklahoma 3-star map, you can go ahead and scan that QR code or click the link in the description to this video that says new to Hail Trace, request a demo, and you guys can do just that. And then if you already have Hail Trace, go ahead and look up Oklahoma City, Norman, Hydro, Oklahoma in your maps and you'll find it there. Impacted over 113,000 structures with those storms tracking through. Late night, but we did get a 3-star out of that. Then Colorado, as it's been doing this time of year, has really stole the show into this weekend. This was also Saturday. Got a storm as it moved out of Colorado Springs, really ramped up, producing that really large hail through the area, up to 4 inches with that, and then got some quarters and half dollars as well through the region. But Colorado Springs did see the beginnings of that storm, and then got more passing through the southern end of Denver through Littleton, got golf ball-sized hail through Littleton as well. So lots of hail to go through Colorado into Saturday. That first map is called Columbine, Colorado Springs, Haxton, Colorado. Hit over 110,000 structures. And then we got another one into Friday for you guys. Also hit Colorado Springs and Cripple Creek here with some large hail. Got golf balls through Colorado Springs as well as 2.5 inches in Cripple Creek as that storm started going through. So Colorado Springs area, you've been getting hit quite a bit here. Denver's been getting hit. Remember that time when they just weren't for a few years? That time's over. So here is yet another 3-star map for you guys in Colorado. This one's called Colorado Springs, Cripple Creek, I can't say that one. Pueblo, Colorado hail on Friday, and that produced 2.5-inch hail, 59,371 homes impacted with that. So go ahead and check either of those out if you guys are in the Colorado area. Check out that Oklahoma City 3-star if that one hit you, and we'll keep you updated on what else comes our way. That's what we got for the next 48 hours. You guys can check us out on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, and now Threads. We're at Hail Trace on everything, so we're pretty easy to find. Hit See First on Facebook so you never miss a live video, and smash that subscribe button everywhere else. Then if you want to get in contact with us, again, go ahead and scan that QR code, click the link in our description, and we'll get you started with Hail Trace. But you can also give us a call at 855-334-4245. Email us at info@hailtrace.com or check out hailtrace.com for more details. And we'll be back tomorrow at noon to let you guys know what's going on. Check our stories in the meantime for the most up-to-date info. And for now, I'm meteorologist Andrea Myers. Thanks for watching.